We're going to start standing. And I'm going to try to go over variations today. I call them that. I call them modifications, even though I really like to think of them as variations because they're just as authentic and can be just as challenging, can be more challenging than what's called the traditional or the full pose or whatever. These are all, I mean, I have a picture, as many of you saw, like a scarf, a big wall hanging behind me that has a variety of different poses on, and it is exactly that. You can see there's like 4 or 5 or 6 triangles in a row. They're all slightly different, but they're all authentic and practiced and real. Sometimes it's just different styles that have different ways of doing the pose. Sometimes it's the same style that offers a variety of ways, like Iyengar does. That's where we get our blocks and our straps. And sometimes it's just as we learn, as teachers learn, and we learn as students, other ways to do a pose that may be better for our body. But anyway, I'm going to try to go over a bunch of the variations. Most of them you know because I talk about them when we do the pose, but I don't know if there's something you'll remember. Just know that anytime you're practicing on your own, you can always change it, you can always adjust it, you can always do it differently your way, whether or not it's ever been taught or printed in a book or anything else, as long as you maintain the safe alignment in some areas, such as for backs and knees. Some things you don't want to change, except to back out of it a little bit, maybe bend your knee a little bit less or something like that. Anyway, we're going to start with mountain. Traditionally, mountain is taught with your feet together, big toes touching, heels apart a little bit, maybe heels together in some cases, maybe ankles touching, heels apart a little bit, lines up the outer edge of your heel parallel to the edges of the mat, and it kind of looks like you're toeing in. We need to remember that yoga originally started in India 10, 15, maybe 20,000 years ago when people were smaller, and it was taught by men whose hips are narrower and whose pelvis points straight down. They don't angle out like women's hips. So I always teach it more for Western style and more for women's hips. I separate my feet. So hip joint, not hip padding, but hip joint. And some of us have wider pelvises. So some of us may be a little bit wider than others. And it's a good idea to kind of rock back and forth a little bit in your mountain until you find that place where you feel equal pressure on your heels and the balls of your feet. Then I like to roll my shoulders forward and up and back just once. I don't continue to roll them, just to get them into the back and down position. So you roll forward, up, back, and down. You pull your chin back a little bit, not up, not tucking down and choking yourself. Keeping the bottom of your chin parallel to the floor, it just goes straight back, just a little bit, just to move your ears back over your shoulders, just to lengthen the back of your neck a little bit. And your chin can go down just a little bit. It will hinge. It will hinge down just a little bit when you move your head back, and that's okay. You want your head straight. Your shoulders are down and back, and you can press them down to start and then relax them. And try to keep them relaxed. This is basically the alignment. It's as if in Tai Chi, they would always teach us, it's as if there's string attached to the crown. This is the crown, the highest part of your head. String attached to the crown of your head, and it's lifting you up. So even though your shoulders are pressed down, try to kind of lift up through the back of the neck. Make the back of the neck longer, not shorter, but longer, without tucking your chin way down. And kind of lengthen, separate your rib cage. Now, the other alternatives, the variations of this pose, I was taught your arms are straight by your side. You can, if you want to, make your fingers strong and point down through your middle finger toward the earth. Sternum is lifted, but your low back is not hyper arched. We have a tendency to think we should stand in military fashion like this. That's not correct. It's relaxed. It's letting your bones, letting your skeleton support you. So you use as little muscle as possible. One of the other variations is to turn your palms out. And this is a nice one because it rotates your shoulders back a little bit and it opens your heart a little bit more. And an open heart allows you to face the day with more compassion for yourself and others, energetically opening the heart center by rotating your palms back a little bit, thumbs pointing straight out. Don't overdo it. Sometimes your shoulder, one shoulder may not rotate as much. That's okay. The other alternative is arms up, palms facing each other, or your palms can face forward. And you can do palms up and come up onto the balls of your feet. This is a standing mountain in a different yoga tradition. So do whatever you feel right. This one is a good warm-up. Do whatever works right for you on this particular day, in this particular mood, right? Mountain, that's just one pose. There are variations for mountain, and there are ways to feel it more. And you can work on just getting your mouth in alignment, opening your heart by rotating your shoulders back a little bit, or keeping them rotated back and then relaxing your arms again. Okay, let's do chair pose because it's a good warm-up. Bend your knees, bend at the hips, but don't like you're about to sit down in a chair. I don't know about you, but I don't go like this when I'm about to sit down in a chair. I go more like this and then back. So just bend a little bit. Bend at the hips, bend at the knees, but not a lot. That's a different pose. Again, you can make it deeper if that's the way you want to work your legs. That's fine. This one, we tend to, and you'll see pictures of it with the arms up. With the arms up, your back automatically arches a little bit. But people overdo it. They will stick out their tailbone. They will overarch their back. And that just, from what I was taught, that's not a good idea. Usually if you kind of pull your abs in just a little bit, that'll help to flatten that back so you won't get that overarching. But if that's what you feel you want to do, if you need to do that, it'll feel better on your back, go ahead. That's just another alternative. Your arms can be out to the side. Your arms can be in what's called cactus arms. Elbows bent, elbows shoulder height, palms facing forward. Or you can have your arms up alongside your ears. You can have your arms straight forward, parallel to the floor. You can have your hands on your hips. You can do a variety of things. Now, pay attention to how it feels on your feet and kind of move your butt back, move your hips back a little bit to have a slightly more weight on your heels. Not so your toes or your ball of your foot lifts up, but just slightly more since both knees are bent, but they are going past the heel, but they never go past the toes. You can see your toes. But because both knees are bent, you're equal, you're balancing, you're putting your weight on both legs, which is why the knees can come a little forward. Again, try to keep your chest open without overarching your low back. It does have a natural curve in it. Plus glute muscles might make it look like it's arching, but you can feel the difference. And again, whatever you want to do today or tomorrow with your arms, challenge yourself, maybe do it a little bit one way and then change and do it another way and see how that feels on your back. Play around with the poses, come back up. And again, you can go more deeply down to Thunderbolt Pose, which is reaching your arms and your torso straight forward, parallel to the floor. You can do chair pose with a twist. You can do a variety of chair poses, right? You can even do chair pose on the ball of your feet, just lifting your heels up a little bit. That does take the weight off your heels though and puts more on your knees. So you need to do that only if your knees are healthy and strong. But it strengthens your legs a little bit more. Okay, let's do Crescent Moon. I want to get to some poses. Crescent Moon, generally your arms are straight up, and people tend to have their head rest on their arm or their arm rest on their head. We're going to curve to the right. Crescent Moon, the alternatives that I know are keeping your hips straight up from your feet, from the mountain, and just reaching your shoulders and your arms. You can do it with your hands on your shoulders. If it's hard to reach your arms, you can bend your elbows, but try to keep your head, don't let your head go down more than what your curve is. So your neck is just following the curve with your spine. Or, and the way I like to do it, is let your hips go also to the opposite side. I'm curving to the right, my hips are going to the left. And come slowly back up and curve to the other side. And what happens is we rotate our torso. Especially if we have a curve in our spine and one direction may be harder than the other, we'll rotate our torso a little bit. Try to not do that. Although, if you need to, if it hurts your back, to go straight sideways, either back off a little bit or rotate a little bit. But try to be aware that you're making that choice to rotate. Don't let your body do what it wants to do. You, in your mind, connect to your body and you do what you want to do. Come back up and release. At any time, once we're doing this, if you have any questions, sound is on. Just unmute yourself. Let's stand wide. As we've talked about in class, wide, they say, 3.5 to 4 feet apart, but your ankles should be right down from your wrists. I think mine are, but who knows? So this is high. This is my, okay, come on. This is my wrist, more or less. And my ankle is right below my wrist, more or less. You can see that, right? Or can you? It's kind of dark down there, isn't it? Anyway, that's a way to tell. You can put something around your wrist, let it hang down. And if you can step wider, but you really don't want to go beyond that just because it really looks and feels challenging. Let's keep it stable. Toes are supposed to be pointing straight ahead in wide mountain. It is mountain. The outer edges of your heels are parallel to the edges of the mat. However, if it hurts your hips to do this or your knees, which would be the hips in this case, turn your toes out a little bit. And sometimes if we're going to do knee bends, we're going to turn our toes out even more because you want your knees to go out that way. You don't want them to tilt in. So let's do that. Let's turn our toes out even more. And as you bend your knees, press your legs apart. See if you can bend your knees and press your legs apart. And look at your kneecap and see if your kneecap, because it'll look like, the inside of the knee will look like it's coming in. But check your kneecap. It should be, if you're standing up straight, it should look like it's right over the center of your foot or pointing in that direction. And again, two are bent, so it may go a little bit past your knee, but generally not. Goddess pose, as we all know. And I wanted that warm up. Come back up. Okay, left foot pointing straight ahead, right foot out 90 degrees, heel to arch alignment. Your arms are parallel to the floor. You bend your knee, giving it a little bit of a push toward the little toe side, but not so that your foot tilts. Your foot is flat, all parts are touching. Ball the foot, both sides of the heel. Kneecap is centered over your foot. Shin bone is more or less straight up and down. It never points forward. Shoulders are over hips. The alternative would be to lean forward a little bit because I feel this in my back hip, right in there, right in my back. And that could be, it could be challenging if that area is challenged for you. So if you lean forward a little bit, you feel it less. You can try that. Try be straight up and down. Lean forward a little bit without putting a lot of weight over that front leg. Push in to the outer edge of the back foot. That lifts your back arch a little bit. So it's not collapsing down. That realigns your ankle, your foot, your knee. The alternatives are to not bend as far or at all. You can also use a chair. If you not feel this isn't really, the seat is a little bit lower than the seat of a chair, but you can see how you can have a chair support you if you're not feeling very strong, just to get the stretch. Okay, come out of the pose. Let's go to the other side. Back foot pointing straight ahead, left foot out. Inhale your arms up, exhale into pose. And no, it's going to feel different on this side. Make sure that knee doesn't tilt in. Depending on how tight this hip is, it may want to tilt in. Don't let it happen. If you can't, keep it. Come out of the pose a little bit. Back foot, we had that pointing straight ahead. That's the traditional way. If you need to, turn it out that way a little bit. Actually, the traditional way is to turn it in a little bit. But that rotates your hip, which can be a good thing because it kind of makes the pull on the bent knee hip less when you rotate this hip. But in some traditions, they have you rotate with your foot in, rotate your thigh muscle that way out to try to get this hip back, but that can bring this knee in. This is more important than any hip rotation. So if you're in a class and they say, bring this hip back, you say, if I do that, it'll hurt my knee. That's all you have to say. And they'll leave you alone, usually. Come back up. Reverse warrior is the same thing. Same pose, only your arm is lifted. You can have your palm facing. Well, let's just do it. Standing wide, right foot turn out. We'll just do it briefly. Warrior 2, and then reverse warrior. And watch that front knee. When you pull up, you're pulling on some of these muscles, and it may pull that knee in. Reverse warrior can be here. It can be here. You can curve more back. The backhand can be on your waist, slide down your leg, wrap it around behind you. All of those are just alternative ways of doing the same pose. Let's do it briefly to the other side. I hope I'm not boring you with all this stuff. Again, and again, watch that front knee. This is my knee that would tilt in because of my hip being tighter on this side. And you can do a variety of things with your back arm. Okay, come out of the pose. Let's take a minute and go back to mountain. Just stand there for a moment, get grounded again. Mountain is where everything starts. Wide mountain or regular standing mountain. It all starts from mountain. Balancing poses, get a good mountain before. And you will go out. I mean, basically, when I do it anyway, if I bring my left foot up for tree, I usually have to bend forward a little bit and then come back to mountain. But if you get used to the feel and the alignment in mountain, mountain is a good place to start your morning. You can just inhale your arms up, swinging your arms, swinging this way to help the blood flow. It helps pump the blood. Okay, stand wide again. We're going to do triangle. And again, left foot, we've done this variety of triangles before. And this is Iyengar. Left foot can be turned out a little bit. That can sometimes feel better on your back and your hips, or straight ahead or in. Right foot is always turned out 90 degrees from the edge of your mat, heel to arch alignment in lateral poses. Again, 3.5 to 4 feet. When you do triangle, tilt your pelvis. So put your fingertips on your pelvis. The right side, this is my right foot. The right side goes down and in a little bit. The left side goes up and out. keep tilting without rounding your back. You're just moving a straight spine. It stays centered in your pelvis. Feel the stretch increasing. Knee is straight but not locked. Let your hand rest without going further. Just however far the tilt will go, let your hand rest on your thigh or your shin or your knee. Right hand, left hand straight up. And then lengthen your spine a little bit as if you're kind of moving back toward a wall behind you. Try not to move forward. Now from here, you can curve your spine a little bit and go down a little bit further, as long as you can do it sideways and not moving forward. Everybody has a tendency to do this forward, thinking they have to reach a certain distance with their arm. And again, if you feel too much in your back, come out a little bit. And sometimes that going forward takes some pull out of your back as well. So if you need to, do what you need to do, come back up. You put your hand on a block, change sides, tilt. First, start tilting your pelvis. Right now, my spine is centered, my pelvis is straight. I'm starting to tilt it, moving my spine with my pelvis. One side may be different from the other. I'm not going forward. And there's with my pelvis tilted. And here is with my spine curved a little bit. And again, push into the outer edge of the back foot. Always remember, think about the back foot. It's all not happening here. It seems like it is, but it's not. Push into the outer edge to lift the arch. And to take some of the weight off the front of the body, it shifts the attention back a little bit. So the weight goes back a little bit. And again, you can reach your arm. You can reach it straight up, or you can let it rest on your side, or you can wrap it around behind you. Let's go back to the first side. You can put your hand on a block in front. What I do when I have my hand on a block is I push against the inside of my leg a little bit with this arm. That rotates this part of me back in case it's starting to turn and go forward. That rotates my upper torso, my left side back a little bit without pulling on the shoulder. Never pull yourself back with the arm, right? Change sides. You can also put the block behind, depending on how flexible you are. And if you can do this without letting that right shoulder, that top shoulder come forward, you can put it behind. And you can put it high, like this, or lower, depending on how far you want to go, and still have support like the floor is coming up to meet you. Okay, feet back together, mountain. Next one is extended side angle, which has quite a few variations. Feel your mountain, feel your connection. I'm going to freeze for a moment, close your eyes. See if you can stay balanced in mountain. Okay, stand wide again. And as I recommended on Saturday or last Wednesday, I don't remember, I always start on the right side, because as a teacher, that keeps me from getting confused and forgetting which side we're on. If I know that the first time we did it to the right. When you practice on your own, it's a good idea to start on the other side now and then. You can make a note. Today I did everything on the right. Tomorrow I'll do everything starting on the left, because when you go to the right side first, you're starting to stretch and warm up the left side. So that when you go to the left side, it won't be as challenged as it will be if you do it new, and you won't feel the things that may need work on as much. Okay, right foot out. We're going to do a high extended side angle first. So inhale, arms up. Exhale, bend your right knee, being aware. And then let's come over And you can reach this arm straight up. And I don't have a lot of weight here on my arm. It's just there, touching to help with balance. If you can reach it, remember it's an angle. It's not a curve. It's a side angle. So keep that arm straight, right? Keep your fingers straight if you want. You can do it with a relaxed hand, but don't let it hang. Try to keep your back straight. Try to keep your side angle alignment. In other words, don't turn and face the floor, face forward. And you can be up higher. You can rest on a chair, maybe behind you, put your hand on a chair. Come up, let's change sides. This is a great one for hips. Warrior 2, extended side angle, or not extended, the side angle there. See, my knee was tilting in. This side, it tends to do that. I need to always keep an eye on this side. Reach it. And again, don't turn. Don't bring this full shoulder forward, but don't pull it back with your arm. My shoulder is in a straight line with my arm. I'm not trying to pull back with my arm. I'm rotating my whole rib cage without letting that knee come in and come up. That's one variation. The other variations, use the block. This is kind of like an Iyengar class. In Iyengar, they pick a few poses and they go over them and over them and over them until you can feel it, until you loosen up and maybe can go a little further, which is a good way to learn the pose. It's a really good way. Right foot turns out to heel to arch. Now, if I bend my knee, this is not much lower than that, so I'm going to put it a little bit lower for me. And again, I push. See how if I push a little bit and I push back, I don't move this by pushing it. I give a little resistance back, but that helps to rotate my rib cage. And to reach your arm overhead, sometimes it helps to touch your shoulder and take it along your head. Or you can bring it down and take it this way, and then you'll have to probably realign because that will turn you a little bit. Or you can just keep reaching up. Let's change sides. There are floor variations too that I want to do. Do it your way. The block may need to be higher. What you want to try to aim for is getting your fingertips on the ground. Yeah, reaching with that arm is a big reach. So it can be up, or you can reach it nice and straight. Or you can put your fingertips behind if that knee will stay and you won't rotate. This does tend to rotate your torso though. Putting your fingertips behind and come back up. Variations of side angle. Warrior 1. I think we know enough of the variations of Warrior 1. Arms straight up, but you want your hips squared, not turned and then trying to pull yourself around like this. You want to bring that back hip forward equal to the right. Arms up, arms out, hands on your waist. Back heel lifted. If you need to, bend the back knee. That flattens your back. But you want your toes pointing in the same direction of the turned out toes as much as you can with your heel down. That rotates your hip. I go over Warrior 1 a lot, so we're not going to go over it again. So come down. Woo! And we also know a lot of the variations for the balancing poses, and I think they've learned in some of the earlier videos, different ways to do tree, different ways. It's just, I have to cut out some of the stuff or we won't get through class. Okay, seated cross-legged, you know, you to sit on a blanket, put blocks or whatever underneath your knees. If it hurts your knees to sit cross-legged, you may find that if you support them, have them lifted, and they may lift on their own, but it's nice to have them supported underneath, right? And if you're supporting one, it's probably a good idea to support them both, even if one is more open. I And gradually lower the support a little bit. Stretch forward, left leg in front of right. Stretch forward. Let's just stretch out a little bit while we're here. Slowly back up. Right leg in front. And it will feel different on your knee and your hip by having the leg bent more or less. On this side less, on this side more. Modify as needed. Not modify. Adjust to a different version. Slowly up. Now twisting poses. Left leg in front again. We're going to use one twisting pose, the seated cross-legged one, and talk about the variations. Variations can appear in any of them. Can be used in any of them. Most of it has to do with arms, but not all of it. The thing to be aware of when you're twisting is try to keep both buttocks equally down. What tends to happen, and I see it with new students, is, for example, in this one, with your left leg forward, your right foot touching your left inner thigh, and you twist, your people lift like this. You can see that, right? My butt's lifted. You want to stay down. You want to keep your pelvis down, your grounding down, so that you're just rotating on the spine and in the hips and in the waist. So we're cross-legged, left leg in front again. Let's twist to the left. This is the side where the right buttock's going to come up. Don't overarch. Learn how to be long and tall with your spine without turning it into an extreme arch. Your back has that natural curve. You don't need to make it more, but you can lift up, and that may cause a little bit more of an arch in your back, but it's not something you're doing intentionally. Just lengthen up, lift your sternum. And again, be aware of not arching your low back. Keep your right buttock down, twist to the left. If you lengthen your spine, you lift up through the crown of the head again, just like mountain, back of the neck. You lengthen your spine, you're separating your vertebrae. And the discs between your vertebrae have a little bit more space so that when you twist on them, you're not pushing them out or pushing them down, or you are a little bit, you're squeezing them a little bit, which is what we want, but you don't want to squeeze them too much. So keep your spine long. Separate. Think about separating your rib cage. Think about that's why you're doing this. You're doing the twist and you're lengthening to give the discs some room. So think about why you're lengthening, and it'll help you remember to do it. Come back to center, right leg in front. And this is for any twist, any seated twist. Twist to the right. If you sometimes, somehow have bulging or ruptured disc, you do not do a seated twist, because no matter how much you will try to lengthen your spine, you're still going to be squeezing a little bit on that disc. And if it's already bulging, that's not a good thing, right? It may squeeze it out even more. So seated twists are not a good idea if you have bulging or ruptured disc, if something happens. Remember that. Now, arms. Let's go back, left leg in front. You can do the regular with your hands behind you. And if your torso is long and your arms are short, use a block. Use the block behind you. So, and if your torso is short and your arms are long, you may find yourself leaning back. Try to stay nice and straight. Use a block or something to help you stay nice and straight without leaning toward the, we're twisting left. The tendency would be to lean to the left or to have your hand back too far and lean to the right. You can do it just by twisting, keeping an eye on things, and then put your hands down. And then lift up. See, I'm rounded when I first twist. Once I get into position, I lift up. I think about it, what I'm doing. Come back, go to the other side. Same thing. I'm on my fingertips because I do have a long torso, but I don't have a torso long enough to use a block, so I have to be on my fingertips. because my arms are a little bit shorter. And then I have to sink my left buttock down. Then I have to lift my sternum, and all these things after you get into the twist. Keep your shoulders relaxed. Now come back to center, left leg, and I know. I want to get to as much as possible. And think about, next week is our last Wednesday, Hatha, Core, Gentle. Think about something you might want to go over. You can email me, which would be good because it would give me time to look stuff up if I need to, which I often do. Or you can unmute and we can talk about it in class, and maybe I'll know the answer. Left leg in front twist. Now, if you want, once you get into the twist, if you wrap your arms around you, your right arm, we're going to the left, right arm is in front, fingers reaching behind, left hand comes behind you, maybe touching your right thigh or hip. This is really good for strengthening the back and the abs. Holding yourself in the twist without using your arms. Just trying to stay as much as possible. If you use your arms, pull a little bit on your leg, a little bit on the fingers behind you, lengthen up. Try to stay lengthened. If you don't use your arms and you're wrapping them around behind you, change sides. So let's just do it the other side to be equal. Again, fingertips, pull a little bit on your leg, not overdoing things. Fingers behind you, pulling a little bit on the floor, wrap your arms around behind if you want. I usually look back, which is the more traditional way, but variations depending on your neck. You can keep your head center between your shoulders. We can look to the front, which stretches this other part of your neck a little bit more. Come back to center. Okay, boat pose. Now let's do bound angle first. I got out of that, didn't I? Bound angle is a traditional, it's called Cobbler's Pose. Yi calls it, or he used to in his videos, Cobbler's Pose, because cobblers would hold the shoe that they're working on between their feet, and then they could work on it before they had ways to hold it, I guess, pounding on the sole and all that stuff. Anyway, bottoms of your feet together, knees wide, heels in close. If you have your heels out, it can actually challenge your knees more. But if you can't bring them in close, that's okay. You just do, or just do a cross-legged, or support your knees if you need to bring them in closer. But sometimes the knee compression, that's the hard part, and people can't bring their heels in close and compress here, so their knees will be out a little bit. And that's okay. Just be aware. Just be aware of how it feels in your knees. And we can do a forward bend with a straight spine, just leaning forward, which is a strong stretch, or you can round down, head to your toes, which is a different kind of, more of a back stretch. And if you do it with your block is too high, my block anyway, it's a fat one. If you put something underneath your feet, they're still in close. Actually, that changes the angle, and it actually may feel better on the back. It may not on the knees, though, so you need to be aware of that. If you put your feet up on something, it kind of stretches the back a little bit more. You may not be able to bend as far forward, but that's because your feet are closer already, right? So that's another alternative, and always you can put blocks under your knees. Okay, boat, upward facing boat. Upward facing boat is, you can hold behind your thighs. You can have your heels low. Don't let your shoulders come up. And in Vinyasa, the back is always rounded. That stretches your back. In other styles, they want you to lift up, press your chest forward and up a little bit, and maybe a little bit of a back arch, but not overdoing it as always. Your shoulders never come up like this, and they want to. So you may have to be aware of that and push them down. Your heels can come up so that your calves are parallel to your shins are parallel to the floor. Watch your shoulders. Back can be rounded or lifted or any place in between, as far as I'm concerned. And then you can release, reach your hands forward. You can reach your arms up alongside your head. I know, we want to fall backwards then. You can hold your legs and straighten them. You can not hold your legs and straighten them, which is the more traditional but really hard version. Release. The book that I'm going to recommend, Rodney Yee's book, has a lot of variations, and it's really good. Plus, there's some routines in the back. You can just look and do the routine. It doesn't have to be a flow. You can do the pose and then look and do the next one. And he has little pictures in his routine. Some books have the routine, just the words, like the Yin Yoga book. So sometimes you may have to go back and look up what's he's calling this something. I don't recognize that. Then you have to go back using the index to find it. But Rodney has, I think, I'll have to look again, but I'm pretty sure he has little pictures when he does the routine. So it's really easy to follow. Okay, let's do downward facing, what I call boat, what some traditions call locust. My locust is quite a bit different from theirs. Actually, let's save the boat variations for core so that we don't work our back too much, because we're going to do it in core as well. Now, I do want to talk about one thing, breath, as I tend to do. Breath is part of yoga. Breath makes yoga totally different. Breath turns yoga from just an exercise to be strong and flexible to something more, to something what it's supposed to be. If you practice whatever you're practicing, just remember when you close, most of the time, when you close the front of the body, when you twist, you do it with an exhale. Then you can hold the pose. And you can use your inhale in the pose to lengthen you up, to lengthen your spine if you're sideways. You can use the exhale to allow yourself to relax maybe a tiny bit further into the pose. But be aware of your breath all through the practice, whether you're doing a flow with the breath or whether you're holding poses. Use your breath to guide you into a pose. Use your breath to lift you out of the pose. Try to be aware of your breath. If you find yourself panting, breathing shallowly, it's usually because you're pushing too hard. The pose is too challenging. It may not feel physically challenging, but if you're panting in it, it's mentally too much for you right at that point. So back off a little bit. You may say, I really need this stretch. I'm going to hold this stretch. And don't do that. That's telling yourself, your ego, your id, your whichever, all of that, your subconscious, that's the word. It's telling your subconscious that you don't care. You don't care what it feels. You're going to do what you want to do. Don't tell yourself that. Tell yourself that you matter, and you're going to listen to all the cues. All that being said, if you want to really possibly, at least for me it works, reach a different and altered state, the quickest way is 1 minute breath. It's from Kundalini Yoga. Maybe I'm sure it's from other traditions as well. And it's usually I can do it 3 times before I have to take another breath, pause for a little bit. But at some point, if you can do it, continue to do it, you'll find that it gets easier, and it's easier at home than with the group. If you can make it past that 3rd time or that 2nd time, or even the 4th time, if you can continue to do it, you'll find that your muscles will relax, your mind will relax, and when your muscles relax, you're using less oxygen. So it gets easier, and you can continue to do it for a while. And I would love to hear your feedback if you practice 1 minute breath. We've done it in Kundalini Yoga for just 3 times. And even then, when they open their eyes, I can tell, and they know, and they share with me that, wow, that was just different. Don't overdo it. Don't do it every 5 minutes, or don't do it 3 times a day, thinking, oh boy, it's really cool. Just do it maybe once a day if you want to, or 3 times a week or something like that. Don't ever do it driving. 1 minute breath is inhaling to a count of 20, holding your breath to a count of 20, and exhaling to a count of 20. The exhale part is the hard part for me, because after I've held my breath, I really want to exhale it all out so I can inhale again. But again, if you do it a few times, you'll get the rhythm, and you'll become, because you may inhale and be completely full in 10 seconds. And then what do, right? You have to hold it for 30 seconds or something. If you find you're completely full in 10 seconds, exhale a little bit while the timer is still going, and then inhale again so you can finish it and inhale at 20 seconds. And then hold for 20. Holding for 20 is usually not too hard. And then exhale. And again, if you find that you exhale out completely and inhale part way, and exhale so that you finish at 20 seconds. And in time, you'll know how to measure it out so that you'll get that 20-second inhale, 20-second hold, 20-second exhale. I would love to hear your experience. It's time for core. Done. Okay, core. And again, think about things you might want to go over next week. Otherwise, we'll just do a class without anything particularly special. I said I was going to show you how to use this ball. This was from Walmart. This is the big Walmart. Walking back toward the outdoor stuff, the plants, garden area from the front. As you turn left, it's in the center there. There was a box of them. They were like $1, maybe a little over $1. But these are about the same size. They're a little hard. And there's like a basketball. You can stick a needle in here, and you can let some of the air out to make it a little bit softer, which is probably what I'll do. But I have never found one that is the right size. This is the right size. And when you use the ball, it really does feel good on your back. Let's lie down. You can put a block, or you can just watch me. We're not going to actually do anything. I'm just going to demonstrate something. You can put a block underneath the flat part so that it's underneath your sacrum. Here's my low back, not on the block. I hope you can see that. The block is under my sacrum. And when I lower my legs and lift, I don't go below the height of the block. But it does feel better on your back. If you go below the height of the block, your low back's going to arch up and strain. And it may strain immediately, and you'll feel it. Or it may be strained, and you'll notice it later. Why's my back hurt? Okay, if you use the block, or the ball, it's softer. It's a little bit higher, so I let the air out, but it's softer. And you'll have to have your arms out so you don't roll. And it's the same thing. You don't go below. You don't even go down to the height of the ball. You go down just to above, so my legs don't come down. If you notice, the further my legs go down, the more my back arches up. And that's not a good thing. And this is a good way to do leg lifts, working your low back by strengthening your low abs, saving your low back, I should say, without straining your low back. And you can do this with your knees bent, which we've talked about. Remember, always remember, when you're doing leg lifts, you can always bend your knees, and it may not be a bad idea to do all the time. It's better, easier on your low back. Okay, we're going to do core, yoga core strengthening things. You're going to do 5 of each. We're going to do it slowly. I will start with you, but I may not continue as we go through it. But the alternatives are you start and end with your knees bent, feet on the mat like this. The alternative for the arms are you have your arms bent out to the side or a little bit up with your hands a little bit overhead. If it hurts your shoulders, have your arms all the way on the floor, straight overhead, right? So out to the side. Those are the alternatives. You can do the straight legs with the alternative arms. You can do the bent legs with the straight arms, or you can bend your arms and your legs, and you'll still get plenty of strengthening in your abs. Plenty. So this is where you start and where you end if you're doing it this way. If you're doing it the full version. Your legs are straight, your arms are overhead. So get in your starting position, knowing you and your body and how you feel today. If you do it the first time, the full version, and you find out, ooh, that doesn't feel right, then don't do it. Do it with your knees bent if you want to continue, or just rest. And the same with the arms. We're going to keep our head down. We are going to bring our arms up, and you can slide your legs up or just bring them up. Bring your arms up. Bring your knees to your chest. Bring your hands around your high shins. Pull your knees in. Legs up to the ceiling. Legs together. If you can't reach them straight up, like mine, if they tend to be out here, then you have to do it with your knees bent. Otherwise, your back's going to get tired. Your abs are going to get tired. Granted, we do things with the legs out here, and that's okay if that's what you want to do. But be aware of your back. Keep your back pushed down. With your legs out here, your back tends to lift up. You're going to have to keep your back pushed down, or bend your knees and have your thighs pointing straight up. Right? Okay, legs up, legs down to your starting position, wherever it was, arms back overhead. 2, knees up, arms up. Keep your head down. Hold them in. Lift them up to wherever your up is. Arms back overhead. Legs down. Try to move slowly. 3. It's like we're moving in slow motion. Legs up. Legs down. If you keep them squished together, it helps keep your back stable. 4. Legs up. Legs down. Slowly. Keep your back pushed down. 5. Legs up. Legs down. This time we're going to bring our head to our knees. Same. Knees. Head to knee. Legs up. Head down. Arms back overhead. Legs down. Slowly. 2. Head to knee. Legs up. Legs down. 3. Lifting up your head works the upper abs. Lifting your legs works the lower abs. So this is working both. 4. Last one. 5. Keep your back down. Don't let it arch up. Bend your knees if you need to. You can even just bend them a little bit. They don't have to be as bent as I was showing in the beginning. Okay, now we're not going to hug our legs. We're just going to reach our arms past our legs. As if we're about to hug them, but we don't. We reach past. Working a little bit harder. Knees to chest, lift your head, slide your arms past, but don't grab, right? Legs up, arms overhead, legs down. 2. Legs up, you're up. Legs down, you're down. Move slowly. 3. Exhale works when you squeeze and lift up. 4, don't hold your breath at any time. Just figure out a way to breathe. Straining and holding your breath is really not good. Last one. And that includes lifting something heavy outside. Use a breath. Don't hold it. Okay, we're going to reach between our legs, reaching toward our feet. Separating your knees a little bit, touching your feet if you can. Everything else is the same, starting and stopping in where your position is. Knees to chest, reach between your knees, touch your feet. Then arms back overhead, legs up, legs down. Slowly, I heard that. Somebody dropped them right to the floor. 2, legs up, legs down. Remember, you can bend. Especially now when your abs are getting tired. 3, pay attention. Love yourself, but challenge yourself. 4, 5, now we're going to bring our knees together and to the right, not a lot. The back still stays down. The left buttock may not be quite touching as hard on the mat, but it is still touching the mat. The left hip when you bring your knees right. See, when I take my knees left, it comes up a little bit, but it's not up off the ground. It's just up a little bit, so don't overdo it. Just knees tilted, right? And we're going to reach alongside our legs on the opposite side. Arms overhead, knees are going to go right first. Knees up to the right a little bit, press forward on the left side of your legs. Bring everything to center, head down, arms overhead, legs up, legs down. Knees slightly left, reach forward to the right of your legs. Center, legs up, legs down. Wasn't going to do all of these. Oh well. 2. This works the waist muscles more. Upper abs and low abs. 2. 3. 3. 4. 4. 5. 5. Okay. This next one is part of it. We're only going to do it 2 times. Both. We're going to start a little bit easier. Then we're going to make it harder. And if your back is already feeling put upon, don't do the harder one. You might be able to do the easier one. And this is the same thing as far as the legs. If you can't have them straight up here, you're not going to be able to take them straight out to the side. So you're going to do it with your knees slightly bent. Take your thighs straight out to the side. Not moving your knees away, but not having them tucked up real close. Just a 90-degree angle or so with your thighs and your torso. Arms out to the side. Tilt your legs to the right so that you feel your left low back lifting about less than a 45-degree angle. Hold for 10, 9, again, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slowly back up. And if you want, you can see how far I lift. It's not very far. Tilt to the left. 10. See, it's just a little bit. 8, 7, 6. Thighs perpendicular to the torso. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Don't lower them very far. To the right. Last one this way. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Back up to the left. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hug your knees. Rock a little bit. Now the next one, you're going to take your legs or your thighs as close to the floor as you can without touching the floor. We're only going to hold it for 5 seconds, and then you're going to lower it to the floor. You're not going to lift it up from there. You're going to lower it all the way, touching the floor. And then bend your knees and lift your legs back up, knees toward your chest as you come back up. So you're going to be out here sideways straight or knees bent, close to the floor. Then you're going to lower down, bend your knees, push with your right arm if you're on the right side. Bring your knees up to your chest. And then we'll do the other side, right? Okay, I guess I'm going to have to do it this way if I'm going to do it. I guess I am. Appears to be so. Arms out to the side, legs up. Again, it's your thighs that go straight out to the side. If you can't do that with straight legs, do it with knees bent or slightly bent, almost to the floor. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower down. It's okay if that left shoulder lifts. You're not going to pull down with your arm just to have that left shoulder down. Bend your knees. Bring your knees up to your chest. Legs up. Legs to the left. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower down. Bend your knees. Knees to chest. Legs up. One more time, both sides. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Down, bend, and up. To the left. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bend, down, up. Hug your knees. Rock side to side. Whoo-wee. Okay. Back. We're doing downward facing boat, or sometimes called locust for the back. We're going to do all the different variations of that. Each step is harder. Except I can never decide whether the one is harder than the other. For me, interlacing my fingers is easier than having the arms by my side. For some people, that may be harder. So we're going to start with our fingers interlaced. If you can't interlace your hands behind your back, palms facing, and you're going to lift them off your back a little bit as you lie down. You're not doing it yet. Squeezing your shoulder blades. If that hurts your shoulders, use a strap. So your hands can be a little bit separated, but you can pull on the strap. That really makes a difference. If you pull a little bit on the strap, just as if your fingers were interlaced, lift your arms a little bit. And that helps to lift you. So lay on your belly, forehead on the mat. Interlace your fingers or hold your strap. Your palms are apart, but your fingers are, oh, mine might be too slippery. Fingers are interlaced, and you're going to straighten your arms. That lifts them a tiny bit off your back. My thumbs are going to be touching my buttocks, but I want them lifted just a tiny bit. Lift your chest, lift your legs. Reach your hands down toward below your buttocks. Just reach them without overdoing it. Don't pull that much on your shoulders. Just a gentle reach. Don't lift your chest by pulling on your shoulders. And don't lift up real high. Supposedly, you're supposed to keep your shoulders the same height as your heels in this. Most of the time, the heels are a little higher. Sometimes the shoulders are a little bit higher. Try to stay kind of low to really work your low back. If you want to get a stretch to the front of the body, then you can lift higher and lower down. Now put your arms by your side, palms up. Thumbs are facing your body. Lift your arms a little bit so they're the same height as your hips. So they start laying on the mat, but you lift them a little bit, but you don't lift them up beyond your back. Your arms are just lifted so they're the same height as your hips. And again, lift up and you reach your hands down a little bit, pulling a little bit. But you don't lift up high, and you never lift your head up beyond where your neck is staying in the same curve as the rest of your spine. So if the chest is lifted higher, the head will be higher, but not if the chest is low, you don't look forward. Lower down. Arms out to the side, elbows bent, elbows shoulder height. Again, lift your arms a little bit. Don't lift them way up, pulling on your shoulders like we've talked about in other poses. Just lift them a little bit. Lift your chest, lift your legs. Your arms add some extra weight, makes it harder. You're working harder with each successive. And lower down. This last one's really hard. So if you want, you can come back to elbows bent or even arms by your side. Arms alongside your ears, straight forward. Lift so that your hands are off the floor. And lift your legs, lift your chest. Don't look forward, don't pull with the back of your neck. And lower down. Work your way slowly and gently back to child's pose. To stretch your back in the opposite direction, but go there slowly because your back has been arched a lot here, and it's going to be going in the opposite direction. So do it slowly. Child's pose, your knees can be apart so you can breathe more easily. I'm going to freeze for a second. Okay, come back to arms straight forward. This is from Hatha Yoga. This strengthens the back muscles, but it strengthens them across the body diagonally. So you're using parts of your muscles or other muscles that we may not usually use to strengthen, so that the whole back and the side, the whole back is strengthened. I'm getting a blink here. I need to check my power's good. I don't know what the problem is. Okay. We've talked about this one a lot in classes. This is difficult to do because everybody wants to overdo it. You do not tilt your body. You do not lift your hips off the mat. You keep your hips down. Your navel stays down. Even your thigh. You may just lift your leg so like this much. This is my kneecap isn't touching, but my thigh still is. That may be all the higher you lift your leg. You can feel that if you do it. Just kind of straighten your leg, tighten the muscle, and it kind of lifts on its own. Like get your kneecap off, but your thigh is down, so you're not lifting your hip, you're not overdoing it. Your arms are straight forward. You're going to lift the opposite arm, your chest, and your leg. You're not going to push up with the other arm. It's just going to be laying there. And I don't know how I'm going to do this. I think I can. I'm going to lift my left leg since that's facing you, my right arm, and my chest. I'm not going to look forward. I'm not going to be lifting up with the back of my neck. My head is going to still be facing the floor. So right arm, left leg. That's it. That's all the further. And down. Right leg, left arm. And down. Right arm, left leg. And down. Left arm, right leg. And down. And keep going. Please do not lift high. Keep going, alternating, opposite arm and leg. This is really, really good. If you only have time to do one back strengthening exercise, do this one instead of the boat ones or locust ones. Do this. Or cat-cow afterwards even. Do your second side, which is right leg, left arm. When you're done with that, work your way slowly back to child's pose. Knees apart, toes touch. Relax. You can always have your head on a blanket or a block. Learn how to use your props. Always have props nearby. Take them with you when you go to classes. If you go to a class at a yoga studio, you're going to have all those. But personally, I like to take my own, at least my own blanket and strap. But they usually have plenty of blocks, but you never know. It never hurts to take if you can roll up one of the more narrow blocks with your mat. It works too. Okay, come to seated. This is one we all like to dislike. This works your low abs really well. Also works your quadriceps. When you do core, when you do any strengthening or core or weightlifting or walking or running or whatever you do, stretch afterwards, please. Stretch the backs of your legs and stretch your quadricep and hip flexors. And don't just do it. You walk around and you see these young people and they're walking or running and they stop. They go like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They go like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they're stretched. No, we know how to do it. Hold your stretches. Get some benefit out of them. And please always, after walking, after running, even if you get in the car and go home, do it after you get home. If you're uncomfortable stretching, and you can sit on a bench, one leg, sitting like you're in a bench with your knees bent. And you put one leg forward and stretch down over that leg and have your toes up and hold it, right? And you can hold on to the side of the bench, stretch your quadriceps and hold it. You can do it with your muscles still warm before you get in the car. Okay, this one, I forgot. And point your fingers forward. You can bend your elbows more. Some people feel better with their backs being back on their elbows. That doesn't feel good on my back, but everybody's backs are different, relatively speaking. Fingers pointing forward or out a little bit or back. Lift your legs up. Take them wide, circle together at the bottom and lift. 2, lift. 3, doesn't have to be a big wide. 4, 5, knees can be slightly bent. Cross-legged, left leg in front, stretch. Stretch your back. Come back up. Let's do the other version. Legs up, straight down together. Take them wide, bring them together at top. 2, 3, 4, 5. Right leg crossing front, forward bend. Okay, we have 1 minute. You can rest for a moment if you want. Remember, we're going to do hips in gentle. We'll do the standing, holding onto the wall or a chair or whatever first, and then we'll do lie on our side. We'll do some stretching. Remember, movement in the hips, maintaining range of motion in the hips are important for your knees and your back. Having the muscles strong around and supporting the hips are important for your knees and your back. But you don't want them tight, you want them supported. There's a difference. We are going to start standing in gentle. We're going to do a little bit of warm-up before we do the hip stuff. So standing mountain and we're going to do a 3-part breath. I forgot what we usually do. You're going to inhale a little bit, bringing your arms straight forward. Inhale a little bit more, arms out to the side. Inhale your arms overhead, palms facing. And exhale as you slowly take them out to the side and down. Inhale, pause. Inhale a little bit more, arms out, pause. Inhale, arms up, palms facing, pause. And exhale with control, arms back down. One more time. Inhale. 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 And exhale. Now, when we inhale, when we exhale, we're going to bend our knees a little bit. And then we're going to straighten them before we start the inhale again. So you're straight, you're in mountain. Inhale. 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 Bend your knees gently a little bit as you exhale. Try to stay straight. Don't lean forward. Straighten your legs as you inhale. 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 Exhale. Sinking down a little bit. Straighten. Inhale. 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 Or you can do with elbows bent. Exhale. Now, we're going to inhale, alternate knees up when we do the first inhale. And then we're going to put it right back down before our arms go out to the side. And then we're going to still do the knees bent. I know, this drives my class crazy. And you're my class, so is it driving you crazy? Yeah, you don't know yet, but it will. Right knee up as you bring your arms forward for the first third of the breath. Inhale, lower your right knee down. Inhale. Inhale, bend your knees as you lower down. Exhale. Inhale, left knee up. Arm straight forward, left knee, foot down, out to the side. Another inhale. Inhale, bend your knees. Exhale. Inhale, arms forward, right knee up. Right leg down, arms out to the side. Another inhale. Inhale all the way. Exhale, bend your knees. Inhale, left leg up and down. Inhale. Exhale. One more time. Inhale, right and down, arms out and up. And exhale. And inhale. 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 Exhale. Okay, find a wall or a chair. Something to hold on to. That puts me too far away. I guess I will do it this way. That'll work. I should have put a stick in here. You're gonna stand with your left side to the wall. Or whichever side you can see me the first time. Because if I had to do it, I would be. Okay. Face me, and the leg that's furthest away from the wall is the leg you lift up. And then keeping the knee bent, circle. Make a big circle with your knee in front of you primarily. And out to the side without rotating your torso. 3, 4, That's not working. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and the other way around. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Try to get a full range of motion there without turning your torso. 5, moving just the leg. 4, 3, 2, 1. Keeping the knee bent 90 degrees approximately. Bring the knee up towards your chest, moving the hip in another direction. Press it back without leaning forward. Stay straight. Just press it back a little bit. Feel your glute muscle working. 2. They also support the hips. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Bring your knee down. Thighs are parallel more or less. Take your leg out to the side without turning your knee out. Take it straight out. It shouldn't be very big. If you're able to lift it real far, you may be leaning to the left, or you may be rotating your knee and pointing it out. Keep the knee pointing, the thigh pointing straight ahead. Keep your heel lined up with your thigh. 4, 5. This works the hip a different way, different muscles. 6. If you turn it, you're working the quadricep again. 7, 8. I already did that. 9, 10. Bring your foot a little bit forward and circle the foot at the ankle. Good to keep our range of motion in our ankles and strengthen it. 4, 5. Good for balance. 6, 7, 8, 9. Sorry for the 10 bad posture, but I'm trying to hold on to my block here. 1. It's a little low. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now keep that leg lifted. I usually hook my foot behind my other calf and lift the heel of the foot that's been down this whole time. Lift the heel. Put that back down. 2, 3. Work your calf and the ankle. 4, 5. Doesn't have to be high. 6. Especially if you have a broken toe. 7, 8. Should be healed by now. 9. It's still a little sore though. 10. Okay. Ooh-wee. While we're here, let's stretch that quadricep. Right. The one that was on the outside. The one you just did all the circles with. Pull the heel up, drop the knee, and hold the stretch. This is pretty obvious to see why sometimes you want to start with the right side and sometimes start with the left. Because right now the left leg is really tired, but it's also more warmed up. So it's going to have a different experience with all the hip rotations than the right side did. Even if it's not noticeable, it's different. So start with the right side or whatever side you circled first one time, and then start with the other side the other time. Okay, I'm not sure how you were. If you can move to a different location and still face forward, that's good. If you can't, just turn around. You kind of know what we're going to be doing, and I'll give verbal instructions. Bring your knee up and make a circle with the knee kind of in front of you, like you're drawing a circle in front of you with your kneecap. 3. without turning your torso or your hips. 4, just moving the leg to work the hip. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, other way around. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Keep it lifted, knee bent, and the knee up. Press it back a little bit without leaning forward. 2, back. 3, back. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Thighs parallel, more or less. Leg out to the side without rotating. 2, straight sideways, thigh pointing straight ahead. 4, 5, don't lean. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Bring your leg forward a little bit, circle the ankle. 1, 2, the foot around the ankle. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Other way. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And keep the left leg lifted or the outside leg lifted as you lift the closer leg heel up and down. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And stretch the leg that was furthest away, the quadricep. Hold it. Release. Lie down on your side, lie on your left side. Facing the camera, you can be all the way down. You can have your head on a pillow or block. That's about the width of my shoulder, so I'm not pushing on my shoulder a lot. Or you can prop your head in your hand. Your knees are bent 90 degrees. Thigh, 90-degree angle, right angle with your torso. Heels tucked back, they're not out, feet are down here. They're tucked back a little bit. Be safer for the knees. Don't bring them up, too much. Just up 90 degrees if you can. Heels together, feet, keep your feet together and separate your knees. 1, and back down. 2, 3, don't roll back. Don't lift so far that you're rolling back. You're not working muscle that way. You're just using the momentum of the body. 5, 6, we want to strengthen along here. 7, while still maintaining range of motion. 8, 9, 10. Keep your knees together, feet apart, rotating the hip the other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Lift the top leg a little bit off the bottom leg, knee to chest. 1. Straighten it out. Remember, next week will be our last Zoom gentle class as well. 3, 4. But I'm always available. You have my email to ask questions. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Legs straight, leg a little bit forward. It already is a little bit forward, probably. Circle the whole leg, little circles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Other way. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now straighten out the bottom leg a little bit forward, not a lot. Put the top leg behind it, knee bent if you can. Foot on the floor. And you can lean back a little bit for this, it's okay. We're going to do 10 lifts and 10 bends with the bottom leg. But when you lift the bottom leg, flex the foot and have the heel higher than the toes. So you're really isolating this inner thigh, inner hip area. Little lifts. 1, touch down. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Point your toes. Don't touch the foot down as you bring the knee up. Go back out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's change sides. Oh, we'll have time for some stretching. That's a good thing. Bring your knees up. Heels tucked back. Lay your head on a block or do whatever feels right for you. Keep your feet together. Separate your knees. 1, touch. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, not rolling back. 10, knees together, feet apart. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lift your top leg a little bit above the bottom and bring the knee up to the chest. 1. Keep it lifted as you straighten it out straight, longwise on the mat. 2, 3. Not a circle. It's just in and out. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Keep the legs straight. Bring it just a little bit forward, little bit, and circles, little circles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Other way. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, behind the bottom leg. Bottom leg is down on the mat, just a little bit forward. You can lean back a little bit. Flex your foot, heel is higher than your toes. Lift with the heel leading the way and only touch the toes down in between. 1, touch down, not high. 2, touch. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Point your toes. Keep your leg lifted a little bit above the mat as you bring the knee up. 1, and straight down. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, take your strap, line your back. Strap around the ball of the right foot. Stretch it straight up. Keep the left knee bent if it feels better on your back, or you can straighten it out. Hold the stretch. Slowly release the pole, leg out to the right. It can stay lifted, or you can rest on the floor if you let it down a little bit more, but don't lift up your left buttock. Keep your left buttock on the floor. So do whatever you need to with this right leg to keep the left buttock down, to get whichever stretch you feel is what you need. Legs slowly up. Shift your hips to the right, or your leg to the left. Shift a little bit more if you need to. Hold the strap in your left hand. Right arm back out to the right, or just rest your hand on your waist so that your elbow kind of drop to the floor. Make sure the lower arm and elbow are supported by something. Block, blanket, the floor. Slowly back up, releasing the pull. Shift your back to flat. And uncross. Take the strap away. Left leg straight up. Hold the stretch. Slowly out to the right, just like you did on the other side. Keep the right buttock out to the left. I'm sorry, out to the left. Keep the right buttock down. Hold the pose. Slowly back up. Shift your hips left. Lower your leg right. Put the strap in your right hand. Stretch. Release. Come to seated, or you can just rest on the floor. We are done. Take a moment to incorporate all the changes that have occurred with our practice by lying in Shavasana. I will see some of you Saturday. Have a great rest of the week.